Detective Martin McFadden, age 62, is walking the beat he's known for years in downtown Cleveland when he comes across three suspicious individuals. The detective surmised that they were casing a local store. After observing the men for some time, Officer McFadden confronted them and began to pat them down. Upon doing this, the officer felt a pistol in the coat of one of the men. After commanding the three suspects up against a wall, Officer McFadden seized guns from two of them. When the three men were booked, two of them were charged with carrying concealed weapons. The defense stated that the two men, identified as John W. Terry and Richard Chilton, were unlawfully searched and that the weapons seized from them could not be used as evidence. Although they claimed the officer violated the Fourth Amendment, the Ohio State Supreme Court still found them guilty. What is the Fourth Amendment? In simple terms, it protects people from being searched or having their things taken away from them without any good reason. However suspicious the defendants had been acting, they still believed that Officer McFadden had no right to search them. They decided to appeal Ohio's ruling to the Supreme Court. The majority opinion of the court sided with that of the Ohio court. The search of Terry and Chilton was deemed reasonable. The dissenting opinion of Justice Douglas stated that, to give the police greater power than a magistrate is to take a long step down the totalitarian path. This case was recently cited in Arizona v. Johnson, when police stopped a vehicle and searched an individual based on reasonable suspicion. Terry v. Ohio was decided in 1968 and translated the Fourth Amendment into more power for the police to search whomever they choose based on reasonable suspicion.
As attorneys, we often get asked the question, when can the police ask me for my identification? Obviously, if a police officer has you pulled over on the side of the road for a lawful traffic stop, they can ask you for your identification, your insurance, registration, things like that. But the real question comes, when can a police officer just walk up to me on the street and ask me to essentially show my papers? And Colorado is one of those states that does have a statute on the books that identifies specific instances when a police officer can do that. And that's under our Colorado Revised Statute 16.3.103. And under that statute, it makes it clear that a police officer has to have reasonable suspicion that something has happened. And the case law that follows that statute makes it very clear that just an anonymous tip on itself, by itself, is not enough for a police officer to stop and ask you to identify yourself. That's not enough for reasonable suspicion that a crime has occurred. Police has to be able to corroborate that, that independent, anonymous source, or they have to actually view the offending act themselves. A perfect example of reasonable suspicion would be, imagine you're over in the Cherry Creek shopping area on a hot summer day and you're wearing a long ski jacket and you're with somebody else that also wearing a long ski jacket. You're standing outside of a jewelry store and you're looking around like you're scoping the place out. That would be reasonable suspicion that a crime has occurred. It's less evidence than probable cause, which is needed to make an arrest. The officer in that case wouldn't have enough evidence to arrest you, but they would have enough evidence to walk up, tap you on the shoulder, and ask you what you're doing, and more importantly, ask you for identification. A lot of times, depending on the type of CCW that you have in Colorado, you're required to actually show not just your driver's license, but also your CCW. So please keep in mind that if you are required to show your driver's license and you do not, or you show your identification and you do not, also show your CCW, you could be in violation. Penalties for not following this directive could include obstruction of justice or obstruction, so please make sure that if you are refusing to give up your information, that you are prepared to face the consequences.
Hey guys, I'm out here working and this cop's been following me around. Come on, buddy. Come on. He's now behind my car. As you can see, come on. Come on, it's okay, come on.
you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing?
Good. You have some ID?
Oh, what is that for, sir?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on today.
What's your name?
My name's Mike Stokes with the Sheriff's Office.
Okay, the Centennial.
Uh-huh.
Okay, what's your badge number?
8716.
Okay, yeah, I mean, what seems to be the problem?
Well, you parked here,
Yeah,
okay, and you
It's
walk down the park.
public street. I can park anywhere I want as long as I'm not blocking someone's driveway, right?
Right, that's
Okay.
correct.
Yeah, yeah, and then you see me walk up there,
So you walked up there.
and then I'm walking back over here.
Uh-huh.
And I was here yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get your name?
I don't think that I need to unless I've committed a crime or I'm suspected of a crime. You know, I mean, I just don't really understand what the problem was. I mean, I can understand somebody being nervous and making a call, but once you get here and you see, well, nothing's really going on that's illegal. I'm walking my dog.
Right now.
Well, yeah, but you have to have the actual evidence before you can just say, well, I don't know, I think you might have. That doesn't work like that. It's not how the law works, you know.
Oh, can you tell me how the law works?
Yeah, the law in Colorado states that I have to be under suspicion of a crime, either have committed one or I am about to. And you have to have reasonable suspicion that I am about to or have or something of that nature. Me parking on the side of the street, walking my dog, you see me talking to a neighbor over there, nothing about that is illegal.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You're
Sit.
also obligated by law to
Sit.
provide identification when asked by law.
Oh, yeah, no, actually, so I don't think you understand how much of this I know or have been in.
Oh, I'm sure I do.
Okay, so the thing is that yes, by law, I am required to identify if there is suspicion of another crime. So yes, sir, listen, failure to, hey, no, it's just a guy, don't worry. Failure to ID is a secondary charge, meaning, hey, look, I just did this crime. Now you come up and say, I need your information. You're being charged with such and such a crime. I must identify myself at that point. And if I do not identify myself, at that point, I would get the secondary charge of failure to identify because I am lawfully arrested or being charged lawfully with a crime. At this point, that's not the case. I'm not being charged with the crime. I'm not even under suspicion of a crime. Suspicious activity in itself, which if that's what you're trying to call this, is not a crime. You know, I mean, I can understand, like I said.
Did I say that you've committed a crime?
Well, no, but you're asking for my ID saying that I am obligated. You said that I'm obligated, which is not correct.
Well, you're obligated to identify yourself.
Yeah, once I've been charged with the crime, sir. Yeah, that is how it works. I mean, if you'd like, and you want to take this any further, I'd request that you get a supervisor, please. And then we can go from there.
Do you want to do that?
Well, I mean, if you're going to leave and just leave me alone, obviously seeing that there's no crime, then no, have a great day type of thing. But if it is going to be something where you're going to try and take this any steps further, or you're going to lie to me and say that I'm obligated to identify myself, at that point I would like that you get a supervisor, please.
Adam, 30.
So you're going to take this farther? No problem. No problem. If we could, I'm going to put the dog in the car. You can come over and watch while I do that. Just keys right here. Come on, buddy.
Can 20 start this way?
Up. Come here, let me take that leash off. Yeah, I mean, I really can't. And if you're lying to me, you're allowed to lie to me. That's very true. Hey guys, thanks for hopping in here. I'm live. I'm actually at work right now. I'm here with Officer Stokes. He's been professional at this point, but they have another unit en route. Hey, what's up, Taylin? Yeah, so I'm actually at work right now. I'm being stopped. They said that suspicious activity, something of that nature.
I never said suspicious activity.
Okay, maybe I manifested that on my own.
I think you manifested that.
Okay, well then how come it is that you're asking for my ID?
You're in the neighborhood and you're going door to door. You don't
Yeah.
have, all you have is interstate roofing
Yeah.
on your shirt.
And how is that leads you to believe that I'm required to give my identification? Hey, how are you doing today, sir?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. What's your name and badge number, please?
Deputy Lebsack.
Okay, gotcha. Are you the supervisor?
He's on his way.
Oh, okay. Is this the supervisor?
Nope, he's on his way.
I got you. Yeah, so, I mean, as you guys can see, I'm being surrounded right now. 3 patrol cars. Am I detained at this moment? Under suspicion of what crime?
Is this your car?
I'm not answering any questions at this point until a supervisor arrives. Okay. I will not be answering any questions. Okay. I think I provided enough as it is. So I'm being detained for what? You just said my car, but what crime are you suspecting me of committing at this point in time that you can lawfully detain me?
Okay, based on the database that I have used, you
yep.
have a warrant out of Aurora for your arrest.
The database of what?
Okay, that's why you're being detained.
Okay.
Now you're being cooperative with me.
Yes.
But if I feel that you're not going to be cooperative with me, I'll detain you in handcuffs.
Okay, well, I honestly don't think there's any need for that.
I don't think so either.
You know, I have no weapons on me, no ill will, no ill intent. The fact, first off, there's no probable cause to be running any license plate. Second off, you have no knowledge of who I am, what I've done, any of that stuff of that nature.
I have a picture of you.
Okay.
Okay.
And?
When you got your Colorado driver's license, you submitted a photo of yourself.
Yes.
Okay. I pulled that database and came up with your picture.
Okay.
Okay. I cleared you, and you have a warrant for your arrest out of Aurora Police Station.
Well, you don't know that I have anything. You don't even know who I am at this point in time.
I do. Okay. Now I'm asking.
You have suspicion.
Right. Now I'm asking you for identification.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have reasonable suspicion now. This is my supervisor.
This is your supervisor. Hey, how's it going, man? How are you doing?
Good, yourself?
I am doing all right. I mean, I'm not sure what's going on here. We got a ton of police officers. I'm surrounded. I mean, I'm feeling pretty nervous right now. I'm at work, okay? I'm using this vehicle for work, and this officer, for some reason, feels that he has reasonable suspicion to be running plates around here or thinking about other stuff. I've committed no crime.
Public roadway, so yes.
Yeah, well, no, you actually have to have some sort of suspicion to actually be able to run it and go through that.
It's on a public roadway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is?
Identification, 'cause that's what he's requesting.
Yeah, I know, but there has been no crime at this point, so I'm not gonna give identification.
Suspicious person walking around the neighborhood
Is not a crime. Suspicion in itself is not a crime.
And he is contacting you. He
Yeah.
has reasonable suspicion to contact you.
No, that's the problem. He doesn't. What is the reason?
Reasonable suspicion to
What is the reasonable suspicion, sir?
that you're walking around this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And you say you're at work, so you need to prove to us in some way that you're.
No. See, that's actually the problem. You guys have to prove that I have done something wrong. Innocent until proven guilty, right?
I don't really care.
Yeah, I'm just filming for my protection, just as the other officers are filming for their protection. Yeah.
For identification.
Yeah.
If you don't relinquish that identification, it could be an additional charge.
No, see, that's
From
a
what I understand-
secondary charge,
From what I understand
sir.
is you have a possible warrant for your arrest.
That is besides the point at this point, because no. See, you guys have to prove that I have done something wrong. See, sir, the law works that you're innocent until proven guilty. So for you to say that I'm going to get a charge for that.
That's only for probable cause arrest.
Yeah, so what I'm saying right now is the fact that you guys are just telling me that I'm going to get a charge for not identifying. That's a secondary charge. For me to identify, I have to be suspected of committing a crime. I have to be suspected of committing some sort of infraction. I am not going to give that, sir, unless I am being lawfully arrested.
Okay.
Is that what's happening?
That's what's happening.
Okay, can you put that down?
Can you tell me what your name and date of birth is?
Yeah, I'm being cooperative, guys.
What's your name and your date of birth, sir?
No reason to
What's your name and your
pull
date
on
of
back
birth?
like that.
Failure to identify yourself, you told me, is a crime. Okay?
Yeah, it's a secondary charge.
That's fine.
Hey guys, I'm being arrested right now.
Is there someone that can take charge of your animal?
If I can make a vehicle or a call, then yes, there is.
Well, you're in my custody,
Yes, sir.
and you're not going to be allowed
Hey,
to make
call
a phone
720-984-0730. Tell her I am being arrested at this point. Somebody hop in there, please.
Hi, this is attorney Michael Pariente at the Pariente Law Firm PC, John G. Watkins of counsel, here in my conference room at the Howard Hughes Center. I'm a criminal defense lawyer here in Las Vegas, and I've been practicing law for the past 18 years. Today I'd like to talk to you about the latest U.S. Supreme Court case of Utah versus Strafe. Now, typically what happens is, let's say that you're driving and the police pull you over and they have no reason to pull you over. In other words, you haven't violated any traffic law. So there's no reasonable suspicion of any wrongdoing and there's no probable cause. If the police pull you over for no reason at all and they search your car, then anything that they find is excludable under a doctrine called the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, which means that it's not admissible in trial against you. So if the police find drugs in your car, then they can't use that against you, even if you admit that they're your drugs, because the stop was illegal. It violated the Fourth Amendment. Now, the case of Utah versus Strafe is a very peculiar decision. In my opinion, it's a terrible decision. Here's what happened in the Strafe case. A gentleman in Utah was walking outside of a house where there was suspected drug dealing going on. A police officer walked up to Mr. Strafe and said, "Hey, I want to talk to you." Mr. Strafe didn't want to talk to him, but the cop would not let him leave. Even the state of Utah, in arguing before the U.S. Supreme Court, conceded that it was an illegal stop. In other words, the officer didn't have probable cause or any reason to detain Mr. Strafe. Now, during that time, while he was detaining him, he called down to the headquarters and they ran a background check and determined that Mr. Strafe had a warrant out for his arrest. He was taken and booked, and during that search incident to arrest, when he was booked into the local jail, they found contraband, which they used to prosecute him with. So he was charged with violating a felony possession of controlled substance law in Utah. Now, the lawyer that he had argued, rightfully, that the drugs should be suppressed as a fruit of the poisonous tree under the fruit of the poisonous tree doctrine, because there was no basis to stop Mr. Strafe, and therefore anything that was found after the illegal stop should be excluded. Well, Utah took that up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and the U.S. Supreme Court said, well, in this case, because there was a warrant, that's an intervening factor, and because there's a warrant, then it excuses the unconstitutional action on the part of the police officer who stopped him for no reason at all. And they said that the drugs were hence admissible. It's a terrible decision because so many people out there have warrants for their arrests for minor things like just traffic tickets or parking tickets. And it's scary to think that an officer can walk up to you, detain you illegally, and then under the guise of checking to see if you have a warrant, decide that he's going to arrest you if in fact it turns out that you do have a warrant, and everything on your person is now the subject of an admissible activity against you. So if you're in a situation where you have an active warrant, make sure you retain an attorney, either me or any attorney, to quash those warrants, because you don't want to be in this situation. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give me a call or come sit down with me in person. I'm more than happy to talk to you about how I can help you.
Because I want to.
Okay. We got a call about you being a little suspicious over here by the police department.
Okay.
Disclosures in the parking structure or what?
I'm not answering that question.
Okay. Do you have an ID with you today?
Yes.
Mind if I take a look at it?
I do mind.
What's your last name, sir?
Not going to tell you that.
Okay. What's your first name?
Not going to tell you that.
Okay. Where are you headed to today?
Not going to tell you that.
Where are you coming from today?
Not going to answer that.
All right.
Is this a Terry stop?
Yeah.
It's a Terry stop?
Yeah.
Reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime? What crime am I suspected of committing?
Let's chat.
What crime am I
Walk
suspected?
away whenever you want, sir.
According to Terry, I can stand here and just not answer your questions.
Yeah. I didn't say you had to answer any of my questions.
Well, you said I was being, this is a Terry stop.
Doesn't negate the fact that I've asked you to do anything, does it?
You can't say it's a Terry stop if it's not a Terry stop.
Okay, sir. Any plans on taking pictures today, sir?
Nope.
Okay.
ghost, ghost, ghost.